Hello, and thank you for joining me again. Today I'm going to do another Japanese Dreamcast pickups video. I hope that you're enjoying these. There are going to be more to come. I am building up my Japanese Dreamcast collection. I found some good eBayers, so I'm enjoying picking some of these up. This batch is gal game, romance types of adventure games. If you're not really into that, go ahead and skip this video. Maybe just watch a little bit to see if it's something that you might get into. But otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. Yukigatari, Snow Story, I guess. And I was expecting, I guess, something along the lines of White Album, but this is by Tamakyuu. And I covered one of their games in my last video, and you know what I thought of that, so let's go ahead and take a look at this game and see if this has gotten any better. So, I can't really say that it has. This game starts off with the doorbell waking you up in the morning here. I guess you're sleeping in, and this girl has come to walk together with you to school, so, you guys walk to school together. And you talk about the weather. Really, nothing happens. That's as exciting as it gets. You run into one of your friends here, and it's just kind of like typical small talk. And maybe this game hooks you a little bit later on. Maybe the hook just comes a little bit later, and it rewards some patience. But my fear is that hook never comes. The next game that I picked up here is Love Hina, Totsuzen Engeiji Happening. Based on the sort of wedding-themed cover here, I have to assume that you may have the ability to actually get engaged with any of the characters here in Love Hina. Love Hina is one of those series that I really enjoyed back in the day. Ken Akamatsu, he does some good stuff, and Love Hina was just one of those really classic, just fun, good series, kind of a goofy comedy version of Tokyo Love Story. Let's take a look at the game. So this is a fun game, and probably out of the batch of games that I got, this is the one that I'm the most interested in playing more of. I've actually played some more of it beyond, quite a bit beyond what I've gotten through here for this first playthrough. So you play as Urashima Keitaro, and he's a 20-year-old student. He's actually still trying to get into his school of choice, which is Tokyo University. It's a very prestigious school, very hard to get into, and he's trying to get into it because he made a promise to a girl who he can no longer remember her name or her face. She moved away when they were both kids, but they'd promised to go to Tokyo University together. So it's kind of a touching story of his hard work to get into there because of that. But in the meantime, it's this situational comedy where he's actually now the manager of this apartment building, which is basically a girls' dormitory. So lots of comical situations that arise because of this, and it's a pretty cool series. So here Makoto is introducing one of the game mechanics that's key to this game, which is actually a roulette wheel. So this introduces an element of chance to the game. You might be like, well, that's cheap. I guess you don't have any skill, or there's not even any three choices. You just either by chance get these things right or get them wrong. But if you look at it more that getting them wrong is an opportunity for like a comedic situation, then it's not so bad, and you can kind of enjoy either getting it right because you got it right and something good happens, or you get it wrong and something bad happens and it's funny. So it's kind of win-win. Here you can see if you screw this one up, you end up dropping this plate of food. So it's kind of funny that way. But another thing you can do is at certain points in the game you can just run around and talk to all the characters here in Hinata apartments, and it just this game has some of those regular Love Hina hijinks, and I think it actually adds to the story of the series, so I'm pretty interested in playing this. Next up is Happy Lesson First Lesson. So this is one of those games that's kind of just a collection of mini games and sort of an add-on for another game that doesn't really have a whole lot to offer. It seems like a cheap grab for cash from people that were really into Happy Lesson, I guess. So, you know, you're not going to be missing too much if you don't pick up this game. I would say if you do get it, you know, make sure you get it really, really cheaply. I didn't spend too much on this, so I don't feel too ill-used, but not a whole lot here. I tried out this roulette game. I couldn't win it. It wasn't very interesting. I don't think that there's a whole lot here that's really worth checking out. This one is Sentimental Graffiti 2. So the date on this is 2000, and so I guess that was 12 years ago. But the original one would have been earlier. You know, it's kind of along with like Classmate. This was one of the sort of really early like galgame released in Japan. So, you know, definitely something that I was familiar with from back then, but I never played it, and it's one of those ones that I forgot. It just sort of fell off my radar. So let's take a look at Sentimental Graffiti 2. Oh boy. So yeah, this is sentimental. We've got this sad piano theme, crying in the rain, and then you get a letter in the mail. Yeah, this seems a little too sappy for me. I'm not going to say that, you know, I'm not going to play this game at all, but, you know, what is it with these games and, like, starting off first thing in the morning here? We've got our alarm, you know, beeping annoyingly. You know, I think I'm going to appreciate these games more that don't start you off first thing in the morning, that just do something different, because that seems to be pretty cliche at this point. But really, you know, I'll say we stood on this one image here and just had tons and tons of text for a really long time. These are the only two scenes that I saw during the whole first maybe 20 minutes of this game, and you know, the reading level was maybe just a touch high for me, but mostly it was just because they was just going on about stuff. It was not all that exciting, and it really didn't suck me in right from the start. So a little disappointed in this so far. I don't know how much of this game I'm gonna actually play. Next we have Canvas. Sapia Tone Motif is the subtitle. I think it's Sepia no Motif. And this is one that I'm excited about. It's made by Cocktail Soft, who are the developers of another series that I'm a big fan of, which we will be covering a little bit more when we look at my next pickup. So I'm a bit biased to this game, and I think that's going to show through here just a bit when we look at this a little bit more. But in this game's defense, we do have something different other than waking up in the morning here, where you know, she's like, oh, well, you know, you got called into the principal's office, and you know, she was worried about you. And he's like, you know, well, you know, that doesn't have anything to do with you. And she's like, well, what do you mean it doesn't have anything to do with me? She's like, you know, we've been friends for a long time. And he's like, it's like, well, you know, you don't have to wait for me. You can just go home. And she's like, but I was worried. So you know, it turns out that you were you established this relationship here that you've had with this girl, obviously, for a long time, and you're good friends, and I guess you were called to the office, and she's like, oh, everybody was saying, you know, that you're gonna lose your scholarship. He's like, well, yeah, you know, actually, if on the next test that comes up, or whatever, the next evaluation, you know, if I don't do better, you know, I'm gonna lose my scholarship. So you know, so there's something kind of serious at stake here, and you have this you know, this established relationship. And as far as I can tell so far, this isn't one of those games with a whole bunch of other female characters in it. So I don't really know where this is gonna go, if this is strictly just the two characters here or not. Being called Canvas, it also has a bit of an art theme, and it seems like you might be going to art school. Obviously you have a canvas set up here and some paints and things like that. It seems like you have a little studio. But you also have, you know, this is getting into more typical territory here. You go over to your friend's house, and you're waking her up in the morning, and she's like, good morning. she's like, you gotta drag me out of bed or I'm not gonna get up. He's like, fine, give me your hand. She's like, okay. So you like drag her out of bed, and you know, I don't know. It's another one of those waking up in the morning scenes, but it somehow it was sort of cute and touching. Yeah, so that's Canvas. Like I said, I'm a bit biased to this. I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm not as hard on it as some of these other games, but it looks like it might be fun. Maybe something a little bit different from the norm for these. So I'm excited about checking this out just a little bit more. So as promised, the next pickup is Welcome to Pia Carrot 2.5, or Pia Carrot e Youkoso. This is a series that I really enjoy, and really I've only played the first game and a bit of this one. Have literally gone through and beaten the game with every single character's route on that. So that's a cool game, and it kind of introduced me to this genre. The 2.5 version, I believe, has some extra stuff, like the Game Boy Advance version, I think, is like put onto here. I don't know if it's like redone or how that works, but there it is. So this game has just a really great tone, and I'm interested in playing some more of this. Really glad that I picked it up. It starts off here where you're meeting your friend and you guys are both on your way to a job interview, and of course he's late. So you're like, oh my god, you know, we just don't have enough time to get to our interview. So we're like, alright, let's run. So you guys haul off, and wham, you like run right into this girl and knock her down, and you know, you end up touching her inappropriately, and it's a big embarrassment. So you know, this girl gets all angry at you, and she's like, you know, you're a molester and a pervert, and you know, I never want to see you again. And so you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, I never have to see that girl again. And of course, here you get to Pia Carrot, and she was actually on her way there for an interview, so the two of you are working together. So that kind of sets the tone for this kind of comedic video game. Finally, we have Tama-cue, and this is a pickup that I really knew nothing about. It was a little more expensive than some of the other games that I got, so let's take a look and see if it seems like it was worth it. I actually got a deal on this game by getting it through a proxy service, which I was able to pick the game up extremely cheaply, but the proxy service, you know, ended up multiplying it by like 3 or 4 times by the time I ended up getting it shipped to me. But, wow, this game has quite the premise. You start off with this scene where you help this girl who has dropped her like flute or recorder or something into somebody else's yard, and they have a dog, and so you help her get her flute back, and you walk her home, and then you see this other girl watching you here from the shadows behind this pole, and you're like, man, what's up with this girl? She like freaks out when you see her. So you go over there and you're like, oh, there's something here where like she just was. And you find this egg. He's like, oh, there's this egg here. He's like, well, what the heck? It's like big and weird, and you know, it's not like a normal egg. So you grab it and you bring it home, and you run into your sister here, and she's like, well, like, I don't know, maybe you should like take it back to, you know, where that girl was. And he's like, well, you know, it's late and whatever, I'll hang on to it for now. So of course, you know, something bizarre is going to happen here. So you wake up the next morning, and it's kind of like the movie Big in reverse. So you've actually, instead of getting older, you've gotten younger. So your sister's like, oh, okay, are you like a lost child? You know, like thinks like some kid wandered into their house or something, but it's really you. So, you know, I don't know where this game is going to go, but it seems like a lot of fun. This seems like a pretty funny premise. Those are my pickups. Thanks for watching.